It's that time of the year where smoke gets into your eyes and sometimes more than your throat gets irritated. I'm talking about the annual haze season in Southeast Asia. Widespread forest fires in Indonesia create transboundary haze. It spreads to its neighbors like Malaysia and sometimes forcing school closures when it gets bad. Air quality gets into the unhealthy range as well. Here's the burning question. Why does this keep happening? Why is it so hard to stop? Indonesia is the world's greatest palm oil producer. Almost every dry season, farmers slash and burn large swathes of forest to make way for palm oil and pulp and paper plantations. Under Indonesian law, small-scale farmers are allowed to burn land, as long as it occurs on a maximum area of 2 hectares and necessary prevention measures are in place. The slash and burn technique is seen as a cheaper means to clearing land.
It costs more money to clear land by mechanical means. Kerosene, matchstick, much cheaper. And the costs that you and I suffer are what they call externalized. They go to other people. The second factor is that a lot of the smallholders technically do not have a legal title to the land they're clearing. So they tend to do it fast and quickly.
And it's not just small-scale farmers at work. Many of these fires are started by big palm oil corporations too. But why is it so difficult to police them?
The local authorities are supposed to be in charge, but they have difficulty and capacity problems enforcing. From Jakarta, they can investigate, but they will have to increasingly use satellite imaging and data sensing, which they are doing. In the last few weeks, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry has announced they're going after 11 quite big companies in southern Sumatra and other parts of Indonesia, including Kalimantan. They're going after about 200-something companies, and this list could go on. It is difficult, though, to prove the case and then to punish them enough.
But beyond man-made reasons, the changing weather patterns play a role too.
The problem is that the fires run out of control when there are dry conditions. And this year, we're seeing the return of a dry weather phenomena called El Nino, and it's being exacerbated, made worse by another phenomena called the Indian Ocean Dipole. And so an innocent small fire can suddenly turn into a much larger fire. And this is doubly so for climate change.
So, where are these hotspots? Almost 3,000 hotspots were detected in Indonesia in mid-September 2023. Sumatra and Kalimantan accounted for 2/3. Pollutants in haze can lead to significant long-term health issues, such as respiratory ailments. And here's a reminder that the people closest to the source of the haze suffer the most. In August 2023, the South Sumatra Health Agency reported an increase of 4,000 cases of respiratory ailments, up from July. And in South Kalimantan, more than 189,000 residents had respiratory ailments. The choking smoke affects more than just our health.
A prolonged haze will have an economic impact because it will tend to lead to less activity. People tend to stay home. It's like a minor version of what we experienced during the pandemic. If it deepens, the economic impacts can be severe. The economic impacts to Singapore are smaller than economic impacts to Malaysia and especially to Indonesia. Because of that density of the haze and they have it much more often, it tends to be their airports that close down, impacting their in and out trade and traffic, their tourism.
In 2002, the ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution was signed in an effort to combat haze pollution in Southeast Asia. So, what's been done since then?
They've come some way in the last 20 years, and they need to push harder. The meetings were held recently in Singapore, and one of the decisions in subsequent meetings is to start a permanent center on this issue, which Indonesia will host, and that's good. Indonesia is owning the issue. It's trying to solve the problem for itself and the region.
Well, on the ground, Indonesian authorities are working to extinguish fires in large areas of peatland.
So cloud seeding is being done by Indonesia today. It's expensive and it's quite depends on your luck, depends on the wind patterns. The key is to invest in fire prevention. The problem of slash and burn continues, oftentimes because it's sparked by the smallholders. They don't have the capability to clear land another way. So we really do need to spend time educating and also giving them the finance and path to do their crop growing, to have their livelihood without creating the fires and haze.